we're going to explain how to initialize arrays in VHDL. VHDL doesn't have a direct equivalent to the array initialization you might see in languages like C or Python. Instead, we use array types and aggregate literals to define and initialize arrays. Let's break down the process step by step. 1. Defining the array type. Before you can initialize an array, you need to define its type. This specifies the array's element type and its size or range. For example, to create an array of 10 integers, you would write type intArray is array 0 to 9 of integer. This declares a type called intArray which holds 10 integers indexed from 0 to 9. You can change the range and the type as needed. For example, type char array is array 1 to 5 of character would create an array of 5 characters indexed from 1 to 5. Remember, the indices must be discrete types, integers, enums, etc. 2. Creating an array variable. Now you'll create a variable of the array type you just defined. For instance, the signal myIntArray declares a signal named myIntArray, which is of the type intArray. You could also use a variable instead of a signal depending on your design needs. 3. Initializing the array with an aggregate. This is where the actual initialization happens. We use an aggregate to assign values to the array elements. An aggregate is a list of values enclosed in parentheses, with the order corresponding to the array index. To initialize myIntArray with specific values, you would write something like myIntArray equals 0 equals 10, 1 equals 20, 2 equals 30, 3 equals 40, 4 equals 50, 5 equals 60, 6 equals 70, 7 equals 80, 8 equals 90, 9 equals 100. This explicitly assigns each element from index 0 to 9 its respective value. You can also use ranges to assign values to multiple elements with the same value. MyIntArray equals 0 to 4 equals 10, 5 to 9 equals 20, assigns 10 to indices 0 to 4 and 20 to indices 5 to 9. 4. Default initialization. If you don't need to specify individual values and want to initialize all elements to a specific value, you can use a simpler aggregate notation. For example, myIntArray equals others equals 0 will initialize every element of myIntArray to 0. The others keyword is a convenient shortcut. 5. Initializing a declaration. You can also combine steps 2 and 3. Instead of declaring the array variable separately and initializing it later, you can initialize it directly during declaration. Signal myIntArray, so others equals 0. This concisely declares and initializes the array. Remember that array indices start at the lower bound specified in the array type definition. Always ensure that the number of values in the aggregate matches the size of the array, and that the indices specified in the aggregate fall within the declared range. Failure to adhere to these rules will result in compilation errors. Using aggregates and careful attention to array types are crucial to properly initializing arrays in VH.